Welcome to ATR PowerSlam, Above the Ring's new YouTube show, coming to you this weekend to provide you all the wrestling results from the fourth week of January 28th, 2023, with a 15-minute time limit. We're your hosts, the SLB, Scott, and John, the Statman. We're going to kick things right off talking about Raw is Triple X with Scott.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, it was the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw, also the go-home show for the Royal Rumble. More on that later. The big thing of this entire show, the first hour, pretty much dedicated to the bloodline. We had the tribal court putting Sammy Uso on trial for crimes against the bloodline. Probably the best opening 30 minutes of WWE television in quite some time. Sammy was found not guilty by Roman Reigns for now. Final test would be coming at the Rumble, which again we will talk about on our post show. But after that, we went right into action as the Usos defeated the Judgment Day to retain their Raw Tag Team titles. Interesting thing of note, Jimmy gets injured during this match. Sammy steps in and gets the pin to retain the titles, furthering the storyline that has just been pure cinema since this whole thing started. After that, we had the ceremonial passing of the torch from The Undertaker to Bray Wyatt. Bray and LA Knight had a nice little thing in the ring. Taker comes out as the American Badass. We haven't seen this, obviously, since the early 2000s. LA Knight gets himself into a little bit of trouble. Bray is there as well. Taker has LA Knight in a chokeslam position, then tosses him to Bray. Bray hits his sister Abigail, and then all ridiculousness happens after that. After that, we were supposed to have Becky Lynch and Bayley in the steel cage match. That did not happen because Damage Control came out and attacked Becky before the match. We then had a hilarious moment between Degeneration X and Kurt Angle, who was stepping in for Billy Gunn, obviously for obvious reasons. We ended up having Imperium come out, and then Seth Rollins and the Street Profits come out to defend DX, because obviously DX is not going to fight Imperium now. And Rollins and the Profits get the win over Imperium. Charlotte comes out for a promo. Sonya continues to pester her. Bianca Belair is out there as well. We end up having a match between Bianca Belair and Sonya Deville, with Bianca getting the victory. And then after that, we go right in to our U.S. title match. Austin Theory defeating Bobby Lashley because the returning Brock Lesnar comes in, F5s them both, but F5s Theory right on top of Lashley to get to 1, 2, 3. So madness ensues. We had other things with like The Miz getting stunnered a couple of times by Owens. We have Miss Bliss giving a warning to Bianca Belair. Overall, the first hour of the show was fantastic. The last two were, as John would say, it's all right. And that was Raw. Jumping over to NXT, it's the go-home show before Vengeance Day, which comes out next Saturday. We have Tiffany Stratton defeating Indy Hartwell. JD McDonough defeating Andre Chase. Fallon Henley and Kiana James defeating Ivy Now and Tatum Paxley. The Creed brothers defeating Drew Gulak and Hank Walker. Elektra Lopez defeating Wendy Chu. And Braun Breaker, Grayson Waller having one hell of a brawl inside of the arena, with Braun actually going through the barricade. That was ridiculous to see. And after that, we had Caden Carter, Kiana Chance defeating Alba Fire and Sol Ruka. This was for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. And then we had the NXT Women's Championship Summit. It was Gigi Dolan, JC Jane, and Roxanne Perez. Throughout the show, we thought that Toxic Attraction had officially ended. The ladies were attacking each other verbally throughout the whole show. And then once this summit started, they verbally attacked each other right in front of Roxanne's face. And then I just saw the crooked smile on both their faces. And I'm like, you sons of bitches, you got me. And then they attacked Roxanne, left her laying, and that's how that show ends. So now I will tag over to John so we can talk about some AEW Dynamite.
All right, the weekly results for this past week's Wednesday night AEW Dynamite. Going over it very quickly here. So we began with Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, the sex gods, I guess, defeating Action Andretti and Ricky Starks. And after that, we saw that the very nice executives at Warner Brothers Discovery changed their minds on their thoughts about showing Jay Briscoe on AEW television. They had a very nice tribute video showcasing, the most of his career and, showing that he was a family man. And more on that for this AEW's Dynamite's main event. And then we had Darby Allin defeating Buddy Matthews to retain the TNT Championship. So Samoa Joe, vow to take back what was taken from him from Darby Allin. I believe Wardlow is injured right now, so that's why we haven't been seeing him or that storyline continuing right now. Adam Cole, we saw a nice video a video package with him about his recovery and him coming back pretty soon. We saw Hook and Jungle Boy Jack Perry defeated Ethan Page and Matt Hardy. We saw the Acclaimed and the Guns have their family therapy session, I suppose. And then we saw Bryan Danielson defeated Brian Cage by pinfall. And then we saw, unfortunately, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, had to be dropped from this match. It would have been a triple threat, but it ended up being Ruby Soho defeating Tony Storm. We saw MJF talk about Takeshita because I think Takeshita made the save for Bryan Danielson earlier in the night. And, MJF revealed the next opponent for Bryan Danielson, which is none other than Timothy Thatcher. So that'll be on next week's Dynamite. And then moving on to the very emotional main event. At the request of both men, this match happened. We saw Mark Briscoe defeated Jay Lethal with the entire locker room coming out to pay their respects for Jay Briscoe. So a nice way to end Dynamite for an important man in the wrestling industry right now. So that was the results for this past week's AEW Dynamite. I will now tag out and tag to Sam with his weekly results.
Yeah, so this week's past Impact, we had Zicky Dice taking on and defeating Carly Bravo. We had X Division champion Trey Miguel retain his championship against Mike Jackson. Following that, we had Kushida and Kevin Knight defeating the good hands of Jason Hotch and John Skyler. Knockouts World Tag Team Champions Death Dolls defeated Rosemary and Giselle Shaw to retain the titles, I believe. Nope, not a title match. My bad. And we had Bullet Club Ace Austin and Chris Bay taking on defeat the major players of Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. And I believe, we had Jonathan Grisham taking on defeating Sheldon Jean. And then Rich Swann defeated Sami Callihan, Moose, Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, and Rhino in a Golden Six shooter to determine the number one contender for the Impact World title. So going off of that, I'm gonna tag back over to Scott to give us the results for WWE SmackDown.
All right, SmackDown's here for its go-home show, obviously before the Rumble. We had Rey Mysterio defeating Karrion Kross. Brock Lesnar obviously coming out as well, attacking Lashley once again, declaring for the Rumble. Lacey Evans making her return and displaying a new submission hold. Well, not really new, but new to her, the Cobra Clutch. So it's nice to see that back in action once again. She gets a victory over a local talent named Jasmine Allura. The Viking Raiders came out and attacked Drew McIntyre and Sheamus before their semifinals match to determine the new number one contenders for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Hit Row thinking that they were going to move right on to the finals, but Adam Pearce said, no, that's not how this works. Everybody needs to earn their way in. So they faced a replacement team of Braun Strowman and Ricochet, with Braun and Ricochet getting the victory, moving on to the finals. We then had another war of words between LA Knight and Bray Wyatt, ending with Uncle Howdy making an appearance during the end of this. And then our final semifinals match between Imperium and Legado del Fantasma happened. Fantastic match with Imperium winning, moving on to the finals as well. And then after that, we had Solo Sikoa and Kevin Owens fighting to a no contest because Sami Zayn came in and made the save, even though Roman had told him on Raw not to show up until SmackDown, not show up until the Royal Rumble. But after Jay and Jimmy were tossed out of the arena, Jay made the call. Sami came in and helped Solo, but the show just ended with a whole bunch of a mess. Obviously, it's perfect way to go into the Rumble. But that's it for the WWE side of things. I'll tag into John one more time for Rampage.
And quickly, the results for this past week's AEW Rampage. We had Hangman Adam Page defeat Wheeler Yuta, and he sent a message to Jon Moxley, and I believe they'll be having another match on the next episode of Dynamite. We had the team of Jeff Jarrett, Satnam Singh, and Jay Lethal defeating Best Friends and Danhausen. We quickly had Powerhouse Hobbs defeat Tony Mudd. His name is Mudd, and so we had Top Flight saying they were the coldest team in the game, and they're calling on AR Fox to take a shot at the Trios Championship. Wouldn't mind seeing that. And quickly, and we had our main event. We had Jamie Hayter defeat Freddie Mercury, Emi Sakura by pinfall to close out this week's AEW Rampage. That's all I got for you this week. I believe it ends there. Am I right on that, Sam?
Yes, you're right. We will be talking about the Rumble in our post show. Don't forget to listen to that, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.